What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Inside View Real Estate Podcast. Today, we are going to be setting some expectations for your sellers here in 2022. We'll see you on the inside. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to the Inside View Real Estate Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Josh Zuniga. I'm with my amazing host, Carl Freund.
What's up, man?
And today we're going to talk about an exciting topic for sellers, right? Setting expectations in 2022. It has been a completely different market the past few months, or this past weeks. Even weeks. Yeah. It's getting really intense, and things are definitely shifting. Things are changing, and we want to know exactly what sellers need to expect coming into May and into the summer. And preferably, what's going to happen by the end of the year? What do you see for Seco?
Did I not call this? Like, can I just take a little bit?
I think like 5 episodes.
Just
you definitely called it. I'll give you the credit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
A year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, when the interest rates were dropping and the market was starting to just take off, I made a video on YouTube. Go on my YouTube, like and subscribe, dang it. But I called it and I said, "What's up with the craziness in the market?" And at the end of the video, I predicted this. Literally down to the penny.
You've seen the cycles.
Well, I've seen the cycles, so I got the benefit of that. But it's nuts. And what's really interesting is that perception creates reality. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this off camera quite a few times, where it's like, if people are like, well, the market is crashing, the market is crashing, it's kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And so what we're seeing with buyers is like, well, they're hearing that the market's crashing. They're seeing the bullshit headlines. Foreclosures are up 181%. Whoever wrote that's a dick. Because they went from one foreclosure to 2 foreclosures. And so, the perception of the market is that it's going to go down. My general feeling is that, yes, interest rates did creep up, right? But now we're seeing that 10-year bond yield come down. And I'm seeing interest rates back at like 5.25, 5 1/8 on a 30-year fixed. Affordability is coming back a little bit. Like, we're not seeing the 5.875s, the, God forbid, 6%. And there was a headline in Yahoo News, mortgage rates at an all-time high at 7%. I'm like, for what product, dude?
Yeah, I haven't seen that before.
We haven't seen that. And so, guys, we talked about this in like 3 episodes ago. You have to educate yourself. So when you're looking at these mainstream media headlines, guaranteed they're getting paid to get clicks.
Yeah.
So they're going to make it look as worse as possible. It's like bad news is, what they thrive on.
It's everywhere.
So, but the problem is that it can create the perception of a bad market. And that perception could potentially impact price. Mm-hmm. So if you're a seller hearing all this doom and gloom and you're like, oh man, we got to sell right now, what are you going to do? Offer concessions? What did you just tell me 2 minutes ago?
For the first time in like almost over 2 years, I was able to get 2% towards closing costs for one of my clients on Friday while we were in Mexico.
Congrats.
Yeah. It was absolutely nuts, right? Absolutely nuts. That was obviously case by case, and that's very situational, right? Mm-hmm. But I want to touch base on what you were explaining, like the perception of the market, right?
Yeah.
And that's huge. Anything that you read on the news or you read in, Time or Realtor.com, whatever, they are going to create the perception, and they know that the emotion of the audience is going to follow suit. And with those emotions, attaches actions or sometimes even reactions based off of what they know they want which position they want to drive the market.
100%.
Right? So we've been, since the beginning of the year, they've been talking about recession. They've been talking about the market crashing. Everybody's been talking about the market crashing since 2016, right? Yeah. So, and here we go another year. Is there a recession? Who knows? If it is the foresight for it happening? I definitely do believe that there's going to be some type of switch in the market too.
We had to.
You can't
keep up with the pace.
You can't withstand all of this growth. So there's going to be some type of leveling off that's going to happen and going to occur.
And here's what the thing is that people are looking at their retirement account, right? They got 401k, they're investing into S&P 500, IM, all these index funds, and they're down 20% or 19%.
Not excited.
Right, since the year to date. And they're like, yeah, that's not cool. We must be in a recession. But understand that the job market is at an all-time high. We have unemployment record lows, 3.8% or something. I think I saw this morning. Mm-hmm. And so when people are like, yeah, the sky is falling. Well, wait a minute. Let's take a look at it. Yes, there's a lot of inflation. Yes, the market is overheated, meaning that there's too much demand and not enough supply. The supply chains are jacked up. We talked about that a lot. So when I'm looking at the job market, I'm saying if the pace of the job market continues along the way it is at low unemployment, wages have to increase, right? Because the job market becomes competitive. So you as an employee walk into Microsoft and you're like, yo, by the way, I want a raise. And they're like, well, we can't lose Josh. We'll give him a raise. Let's keep up with inflation. So as long as the wages keep up with inflation, we're good. Like we'll inflate our way out of this almost, you know, and so it'll become normal again.
Yeah.
So yeah, gas costs an extra $1 a gallon, but you've also had a wage increase to kind of compensate for that, right?
Yeah.
So then we're back to normal. In what I really need people to understand too is, as a seller, what is normal? Because what will feel like a disaster is actually still a seller's economy, right? And so we're seeing, we'll probably cross 10,000 listings this week is my guess on Friday. That's just my prediction. Put that in the books. My prediction is that this Friday in the Phoenix MLS, we're in Phoenix right now, we'll cross the point of 10,000 active and coming soon listings. Just my guess, my prediction. And people are gonna be like, well, you know, it's a buyer's market. It's a buyer's market. It has to be a buyer's market. We're seeing all these price reductions. We saw 1,000 or 1,100 price reductions last week. That's about 10% of the listings out there that are doing price reduction.
Right.
That's normal. You know how many
that's
listings
an average
are normal?
day, yeah. 3-4 years ago, that was an average.
That's average.
That's an average week for us.
In the Phoenix metro area, we're a big metropolitan area. Mm-hmm. We should have about 30,000 listings on the market at any given time. And also, the days on market should be like 60 days. And didn't you have a seller be like, hey, I'm getting nervous, my house isn't sold in a week?
Yeah, well, guys, I'll just give you like a perfect example. It's not just one seller, it's, you know, several. And like you said, it was the whole point of this podcast was to set expectations. Just like Carl said, when it probably in, I think you said 60 days, right? I remember specifically it was 64 days in like 2019 was like the average, right? And then obviously when you come into 2020, like 7 or 10 was like the average, or hours, right? So it has nothing to do with saying that there's something wrong with your property.
It's normal.
We're just resetting a little bit to what the expectations were just a few years ago. So there's no reason to panic. There's no reason to stress. We just take your time and we roll with the punches. And if we don't see anything after 30 days, usually after 30 days is when I would even consider potentially a price reduction.
Probably not even.
Yeah, even potentially a price reduction for house. Historically, when I would list houses, but I think. In fact, I know that we're still in a strong market, for sellers, and it's just going to take a little bit more time. Just because your house hasn't gone under contract in hours or a couple days or showings are a little bit, not what we expected, then that's okay. Okay. We just got to wait for the right buyer to come through, and it will happen. We just got to remain patient. The key to this game in the last 2 years has been patience. I tell that with every client, whether they're a buyer, a seller, or investor. We have to remain patient. If we didn't get it, it wasn't the right one, and we just move on to the next one and move on to the next one. And I'm glad that you brought up, job growth here. So people are wondering, is like, well, like you said, is the rug being pulled out from under us? Are we like headed towards that recession? Are we headed toward that crash? There's articles and I've read stats. We should have 700,000 more jobs here within Arizona by 2030. So what drives the economy here? Jobs.
Local economy.
Yeah, local economy. That's within Arizona, guys. Jobs, right? We are known as a desert Silicon Valley, and we have some huge tech companies that are still growing here. They're building one probably like 10 miles away from where I live. A huge plant. I forgot by who, whatever's off the 303. So there's nothing to be scared of. If you're a seller, still a great time to sell. Whether it's now or later in the year, we'll just have to gauge on as prices go up and as rates go up, your qualification for your buyers or your pool of buyers is going to begin to shrink, okay? So there's not some buyers are being bowing out of the market. I have one literally right now that we're going to go show some homes. They're really on the edge. Like, should I stay in the house that we're at, or should I sell, cash in, put all of it towards paying down one of my cars and putting it down for the down payment? And that's okay, guys. That's if you're in that seller situation and you feel those emotions and you're a little bit scared or on edge, that's totally fine. We are here to just give you the information, present opportunities and options. And then at the end of the day, there's no pressure. You get to make the decision, whether it's the right one for you, whether it's the right one for your family, or if it's the right timing. Right?
And just be realistic.
Yeah.
And stop overpricing your houses, please.
That'd be nice, guys. Other agents, if you're listening.
Yeah, it makes it really difficult for your agent too, by the way. And I had to talk one of my sellers like down $25,000. I'm like, dude, you're way overpriced. And so, thinking about that and just being realistic and understanding that it's not Josh's fault when it doesn't sell in one day. That's not the agent's fault.
Yeah.
And so, the market does dictate where it's at. And so just be aware of that. As long as you got the marketing in place, you're probably in a good spot. So just hang tight.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm glad you brought up obviously price, because last year was definitely a year to where you could like kind of shoot for the stars and see what happens. And most of the times you got what you wanted or even got more than what you wanted, right? With the market kind of resetting a little bit, we have to be more diligent on exactly how we're pricing things and what's the condition of the property and all the other variables that are involved with the actual house itself, okay? Because we're not here to outprice us from the market and not get any showings, right? And after 30 days or 2 weeks, we can obviously have a revisit and take a look at it and see what's going to be the right fit or a better price point, for us based off its location.
Nailed it.
Yep. All right, guys. So that's setting expectations for 2022 here. If you are a seller, if you're a buyer, I still recommend that you definitely consider what your options and your availability is. But if you're looking to sell, still a good time. I think the market's still going to be very strong. Plenty of buyers here, plenty of opportunities that are still coming to Arizona. And if you need any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us at any point in time. But until then, we'll see you on the next episode. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things. We want to continue to bring value to you every single episode. But until next time, see you on the inside.